On3 has kind of called it, so to speak, on their recruiting rankings. And obviously, you've got another National Signing Day coming up here in a couple weeks. But Georgia 1, Bama 2, Oregon 3, Ohio State 4, and Miami at 5. That's your top 5. Ole Miss at 20. And I do have some thoughts on several of these leagues because, especially as I'm cranking through the talent metrics, because, again, you have to account now for the transfer portal. And, again, talking with Kelly Ford of K Ford Ratings a couple weeks ago privately about this, we were just talking about quantifying numbers, quantifying rosters because of the transfer portal now. It's an educated guess how to do this because there are no longer 4-year recruiting metrics. It's just not the same. Like if you took all 4 classes of Mississippi State and Ole Miss and you averaged them up, that's not even who's on the team. Like there's a portion of that on the team, but it's not even hardly half. And the transfer portal is a lot of that. That's like, let me tell you something I found this weekend. I thought that was interesting. Cranking through some of this stuff. Let's go to the ACC. I spent some time in the ACC this weekend. Not physically, mentally. That's a scary thing. Do you know who has the best roster coming into this year in the ACC? Miami. Miami does. Miami has the best roster, talent roster on paper in the ACC. They have recruited the last 3 years. Number 5 class this year, 8 and 13. Their transfer portal 2-year metric evaluation that I have come up with, they're sitting at about a 15.5, which means they rank around 15.5. So they've done well in the transfer portal. They've done well in recruiting. And they edge out Florida State as number 2 by just a little bit. Clemson has fallen to number 3 in kind of at a large degree, believe it or not. I mean, Clemson has ranked 61st in the transfer portal, and their classes have gone 12, 11, and 14. So, and then, of course, you get down to North Carolina, NC State, and Louisville. But what's interesting about this is because I've already done the 3-year metrics for the SEC, where Alabama and Georgia still are at the top, but it's Texas right there, too. Texas is right there, too. I mean, there's not a dime's worth of difference in those teams. And I've already done the Big Ten, where Oregon is just ahead of Ohio State. And here's what's interesting. I think this is from the transfer portal. Now, again, you've got to this is talent only. This is not coaches. This is not quarterbacks. This is not big play. One team's got a massive wide receiver where the other teams maybe don't. Or, you take Alabama. They didn't have that home run threat like an Ohio State had this year. Or, Michigan at certain times. Miami has just as good a talent as all of these teams coming into this year. Watch Miami. That's why I think this is why they went in. I'm not saying. I'm just saying, watch Miami. Watch Miami. This is why they went in on Cameron Ward. I'm fully the bell went off after looking at this. Said, "Yep, this they're trying to make their like Ole Miss, like Ohio State. They're going all in, money shot, trying to get that home run." But Miami has vastly disappointed. Vastly disappointed, much like Texas A&M. So you have to be careful with Miami. And let's go look and see, just cross-reference this with Vegas. And look and see what Vegas has, the Miami football Hurricanes, to win the national title. Now, I am not calling for Miami to win the national title. That was interesting to me when that kind of came across everything. 60-1. Be a hell of a pickup, wouldn't it? Talk about a value bet. 60-1. They're down there with Kansas State and Washington, Auburn. But again, you look at Mario Cristobol. This whole thing has just been. He is going to be. You talk about coaching your way out of ball games. He coaches he has coached Miami and Oregon out of ball games. This was a 7-6 team last year. 7-6. 7 wins, 6 losses. They averaged 32 points a game, and they gave up 23. This should have been a 10-win ball game, or 10-win ball team. By those numbers, if you average over 30 points a game and you give up less than 23.5, you should be a 10-win ball team. The numbers show it. You absolutely should. And you look at some of these losses that they had. They had a three-point loss to Georgia Tech, which he screwed that up. They had a 10-point loss to North Carolina. They had a touchdown loss to Florida State, a 6-point loss to Louisville, and a 6-point loss to Rutgers. Let's go to Gator Matt. Matt, welcome in.
Who's their first game of the year?
Well, aren't they coming up there to the Swamp?
Yes, sir, they are.
How about that?
Who you got in that, Jake?
I would have to say I'm going to lean Miami in that.
God, what? Yeah, who would have thunk it? Of course. Absolutely. Hey, Jake, did I see, is Stanford in the ACC?
Yes.
Explain that to me. What does the ACC stand for, Jake?
Well, it's the Atlantic Coast Conference. So, I mean, I guess if you're a flat earther, you can make that work in your head somehow.
How's I can't wait to follow that volleyball matchup between those two schools.
Yeah, Wake versus Stanford. How about get you some of that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. How much money? I mean, first of all, how much money are they going to lose taking the softball team over there to play? It's just ridiculous. So you're who you got in the Super Bowl? Are you taking San Fran or are you taking Taylor's boyfriend?
Oh, I'm all in on San Francisco now.
Oh, you are? Why? Because Taylor Swift? You can't stand it, can you?
Just the whole Chiefs setup. I just can't deal with that. That whole thing's too much.
How does Detroit lose that game? I mean, look, I'm a Dan Campbell fan. Is that his name? I love the guy. But, I mean, good Lord. I mean, he just gave that game away, Jake. All right, so you're taking Miami. Well, hey, we're going to circle back around. We're going to put something else. I think you already owe me a 3-piece at Bojangles. We're going to have to parlay that into something bigger.
You got
See
it.
ya.
See you.